Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and another video on Marvel Contest of Champions. This video is going to focus on the 3 new champions that have been announced at San Diego Comic-Con, which is Korg, Hemdale, and finally Red Skull. In this video, we're going to focus on... that's the wrong type of Cronin. There we go, that's a lot better. And yeah, I did do that on purpose and explain why and why I referred to as a Cronin, because some people may be a little bit confused from a Thor film where we saw a type of Cronin, the way it looked. Did it look a little like Korg? Was it Korg? I'll kind of explain a bit more about that. These 3 characters here, which are going to be future champions, let's go into. Because Red Skull as well, there's a lot of things with him being in-game. His suit, is he a tech, is he a skill, his abilities, is he the Iron Skull? Let's delve into this video about these 3 fantastic champions. So to put you in perspective, at the San Diego Comic-Con 2018, which is currently going on, there was a Marvel Games panel. At that Marvel Games panel, there was an announcement from Marvel Contest of Champions team. I don't know if anybody there was present, but it didn't look like anyone was. But on their behalf, it was announced that Hemdale, that Korg, as well as the Red Skull will be put into the game. And let's jump into each of those characters and give you a bit of backstory and talk about their abilities. So yeah, let's begin with Korg. Now, Korg has found a place into every Marvel fan's hearts when the film Thor Ragnarok was released, and he had this kind of amazing comic relief as well as this kind of edge of badassery, and his interactions with Meek as well as Thor put him into great notoriety, and people just absolutely loved him. Now, when we meet Korg in the film, he is enslaved in the Grandmasters contest. Not the greatest place to be, but he's there nevertheless. But it's not just about revolutions, and there's other things to this character that meets the eye. Korg first makes his appearance in the comic books in issue 83 of Thor the Mighty in 1962. In that particular issue, it's kind of dubbed that he is part of the race of the Stone Men from Saturn. And this indeed is the Cronin race. However, in other sources it says that he is from the planet of Rhea. And for those vigilant in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 film, you'll notice that when there's that situation where Rocket is kind of warping through all those different planets and solar systems to get to Ego's planet, this is the image that comes up of Rhea, which, hey, has got some potential characters that could be relations of Korg. The whole story of how Korg found himself on Sakaar is based on a failed invasion. So he tried to invade Earth, and unfortunately it didn't work out. Thor thwarted his plans, and himself and his brother escaped on a Cronin ship, which then unfortunately crash landed on Sakaar, and he was enslaved. He had to compete in the contest, and in his first battle he had to kill his own brother, which is kind of deep. Now let's move on to powers. And he has great strength. That's the kind of core aspect of Korg, and it is strength. The kind of Cronin physiology and what he gets as a result of strength is equivalent to 100 tons in lift. It's really incredible. Now, the other aspect of durability is hugely important. Hopefully will play a big factor when it comes to his release in Marvel Contest of Champions. Korg can withstand a lot. Now, in this particular bit of information, it talks about the idea of him having blood and kind of forming antibodies to toxins. Now, I don't know if that is a typo, but it would be kind of odd to think of something that is built from stone being able to be poisoned. Now, will there be any kind of like some sort of tissue that then will allow poisoning? I don't know. I'm going to maybe look at this as potentially a typo, but maybe they've got more to this. But it would be a great thing to see a poison immunity and a bleed immunity to begin with. But then there's other aspects like energy resistance is going to be hugely high, as well as maybe incinerate resistance, maybe even cold snap immunity. I don't know the extent of how much they could put immunity wise for this particular character when he becomes a champion in the game. But the great hand-to-hand combat, maybe even usage of a laser-based weapon, or will it go back to the kind of mace that he had when we saw him in the film? I don't know what they plan to do with this champion, but I really think that this is going to be a great addition, maybe even from a comedy sense, like adding him into the game. Going to be a good champion, as well as going to be fun to play with. Really looking forward to this being added into the game. Next up, and great Scott Jim, we've got Red Skull, but not as we know it. My own personal take is that I love this version of Red Skull because it just seems a more natural fit to see. but it may not be considered at a point of being released in the game as a champion that could withstand anything and deliver a great amount of damage, though he would be a formidable skill if he was using weaponry as well as maybe using some kind of other things like ships dropping bombs in L3s and maybe even some sort of L2s when he's put into Marvel Contest of Champions. As we all know, there is a Red Skull in Marvel Contest of Champions already. Back a long time ago, I'm talking nearly 3 years ago, this was created, this version of Red Skull. And a lot of people that are looking at this that maybe haven't seen this before, maybe going, wow, is this really Red Skull? Is the Red Skull that I know from the films, from the comic books, in appearance? Technically, if you understand one sort of arc of the comic books, the appearance is likened to that of the Iron Skull. Now, before we go anywhere, I just want to reiterate that point that we have talked about the idea of maybe this champion when he goes in being either a tech or being a science. The tech based on the suit that he's in, the science aspect based on the unstable version of this super soldier serum, and the whole aspect of this this suit that he's going to go in. You know, is it going to have either the skill, the tech, or the science? We just don't know at the moment. But I'm going to use that as a kind of a working theory, and also talk about the tech aspect because, yeah, he's in a tech suit. But the fact is, in the game, as you just saw, he's listed as a skill. Now, this all could be subject to change, and this is the big point here, subject to change, in that have Kabam been working on in secret a different version, as the Red Skull is like a carbon copy of Iron Patriot, and we all don't like Iron Patriot. As well, the L1 is, well, yeah, it's Iron Patriot. People have said that it's him in an Iron Man suit, and yeah, that's actually pretty correct. Now, when it comes to powers, it's all about that Iron Man suit that's stolen. That is giving him those extra abilities that are making him more, he can withstand a lot more, make him formidable in the contest. The other thing is that will he get anything like super, or sorry, not superhero, but kind of enhanced healing as part of the super soldier serum that he had? And the answer will probably be no. If it's anything to go by the footage that we saw, he's going to be just a carbon copy of Iron Patriot. Now, I hope that Kabam have indeed been working in secret and enhancing his whole moveset and making it totally original, because the only original aspect about this particular footage and character that I know from the 2015 inclusion of him is that right at the end of his L3 he does this, which is pretty cool. Because apart from that, there's nothing interesting about that character that we don't already know from Iron Patriot. And I think there is a good reason that he has stayed dormant in the game files for such a long time. So, like I said, and reiterate again, I hope Kabam are working on a different version that is going to be released fairly shortly, or a different move set that is a little bit more original than what you've stolen from the Iron Man suit. I mean, yeah, you can make it similar, yes, but if it's going to make it too much it's going to be, again, carbon copy with the same movesets, it's going to be a bit boring for players. And finally, we got Hemdale. I am so excited for this character. If they do him right, and I'm talking like the abilities that we're going to see, if they get all that on point, then I'm going to just... there'll probably be the only time I go back to trying to do featured Grandmaster Crystals. That is going to be a bit of a eating of words type event for me. But let's talk about this character. Fantastic. Like, the appearance side of things, I hope they go similar to movie meets comic books. So we get this ferociousness, this kind of barbarian, this kind of Viking looking character that is just going to be so good to look at, good to play with, and just like so positive for the community. As we know, Hemdale is the keeper of the Rainbow Gate, and that kind of link with different types of realms. He was chosen to be the guardian of this because of his powers of perception. He could see the oncoming dangers and is able to kind of then alert people, so they're prepared for anything, making him the perfect kind of guardian of Asgard in general. Hemdale is one of the most devoted people to his position. He's given up on romance just to kind of go back and guard Asgard, as well forming a position as leader when Odin was in the Odin sleep, and we saw a little bit of his kind of dedication to his people and his position in the film Thor Ragnarok. Now, this is one of the most important things, and that is powers. He obviously retains the fantastic Asgardian powers, which is anything from stamina, strength, agility, speed, all those fantastic things that make an Asgardian so strong. Now these are 3 abilities I really want to see Hemdale have and utilize when it comes to the game. The whole factor of regeneration is something that, you know, you just don't see with many of the Asgardians that are in the game at the moment. Well, except for you could loosely talk about Angela, but you know, you would like to see this on Thor. Anyway, it's a different argument for a different day, but I would like to see this on Hemdale having regeneration factor. The next one is his Acute Senses, and whether or not they're going to put this into a combat sense, because essentially it's all about kind of seeing into time and space and individuals in other realms. Will they then put something in the game that maybe he's got like a, not a spidey sense, but some sort of sense where he could sense certain things coming, like they would do a special, they will do an evade, they will do this, and as a result it then improves his sensory awareness. I don't know how they would then input that in, but it would be nice to see some sort of nod to that when he gets put into the game shortly. The final thing is avatar projection. Now I know that Loki has this, but it would be nice to see something, and again, a little nod to this as a potential ability, maybe if it shows up in some of the special attacks, just to kind of fool enemies. And I know that he wouldn't have used that in that sense, it would be for more like communication, just like a hologram. Then will it appear in the game? I don't know. It just would be nice to see a little nod to this little bit of abilities from the comic books to be put into the game. So that's been a video, guys. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button as well to kind of follow the channel for more Marvel Contest of Champions based content. And what are your thoughts on these particular characters here? Will they be true to some of the source material? Are there something in particular with regards to immunities you'd like to see? Like, will Korg be a super immune champion? Or will they retain some kind of tissue thing that means he can be poisoned? Who knows? But, you know, have some thoughts in the comment section as well. What are your thoughts on Red Skull? Do you think they're going to change him from the previous version they had in the game files? Your thoughts in the comments. Thanks very much for watching. I've been RichTheMan, and as always, I shall catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye for now.